My name is Elisabeth Lauffer, and I'm going to be reading today from Pollak's Arm by Hans von Trotha, which I translated from the German for New Vessel Press. The novel is set on the eve of the Nazi raid of Rome in October of 1943, in which more than 1,000 Roman Jews were deported to Auschwitz. Among them were Ludwig Pollak and his wife and 2 grown children. Pollak was a renowned archaeologist and art dealer in Rome, best known for discovering the missing right arm of the Laocoön group in 1906. Historical documentation shows that the Vatican offered refuge to Ludwig Pollak and his family, an offer the elderly man evidently refused. This novel imagines the conversation between Pollak and the emissary sent to summon him, a German school teacher also sheltering in the Vatican. In the sample I'm going to read, the speech act moves between this messenger as he recounts to the Monsignor what happened the following day, and Pollak as he shares his recollections with the younger man. A number of the collectors he showed around Rome would ask to see the surrounding area as well. I had never done automobile tours before, Pollak said. Looking back now, what first comes to mind is how often we broke down. Even Richard Strauss's vehicle broke down a lot. The technology simply wasn't advanced. Isn't that right? I'm certain things are far better today. Technology has a way of improving by leaps and bounds during wartime. That has always been the case. Human fodder has never been in short supply. Those excursions of ours could hardly be considered a tribute to technological progress. As I recall, though, there was something carefree and jolly about them. It was lovely. Lovely weather, too. It's common to think that in hindsight. One tends to think the weather was nicer and people were friendlier when remembering the past. And although it's not true, there is some truth to it. Every memory has its own truth. Otherwise, it wouldn't exist. The car trouble was simply part of it. Whatever the issue may have been, it always got fixed in the end. Sometimes we had to wait a while, but it would seem we had the time. Before the war, the last one, that is, Rome was flooded with visitors in spring, Pollak said. Some were pleasant, others less so, the latter in the majority. There is no rose without a thorn, after all. By then, I had long since sworn off hosting visitors who, during their stay, brim over with amiability, only to leave and behave as if they've never met you. Until, mind you, they need something again. The more time passed, the longer he spoke, the more detail he felt he could add without encountering resistance, the calmer he appeared, and the stronger his voice sounded. He was using memories of the past to defer the present. I was swept up in it. The moment he sensed I was about to interrupt one thread, he would start on something new. In a seeming non sequitur, he began telling me about Auguste Rodin. Rodin had come to Rome in the winter of 1914 as a house guest of the renowned collector John Marshall and his wife. He was trying to avoid the imminent occupation of Paris, having endured one siege already in 70-71. He was accompanied by the Duchess de Choiseul, a petite but garrulous and rather unattractive older woman, a benevolent tyrant over the old man, as Pollak put it. Pollak kept delivering jibes I could tell he had repeated many times, though probably not in years. He would then give a little snort, punctuating the flow of his account. In the past, it might have been a laugh. At the time, John Marshall lived opposite Palazzo Zuccari, on the top floor of number 25 Via Gregoriana. D'Annunzio lived in the same building, which commands a spectacular view of the city. Pollak first met Rodin at a dinner hosted by the Marshalls in honor of the famous sculptor. To Pollak's surprise, sitting there was a jovial, squat, indeed one could even say fat, fellow with a fresh face framed by a long white beard. He had warm eyes and didn't behave at all like a bigwig. Bigwig is a word Pollak uses a lot. It signifies a species he has always wrestled with and rebelled against. Saturated with indignation and profound disdain, the word stands for a power imbalance, as inappropriate as it is unacceptable. He had clearly expected bigwiggery from such a personage as Rodin, but much as he had been with J.P. Morgan, found himself pleasantly disappointed. Rodin struck me as a friendly, if ponderous bourgeois who had escaped into retirement after putting in his time, Pollak recalled. He spoke very little, by the way, and never about art. I happened upon him several days later. It was morning. He stood alone by the Fontana di Trevi, drawing. He did not take his eyes off the fountain. I didn't dare interrupt, but watched from a distance for a long time, observing the vigorous sweep of his hand as he filled the sketchbook. This has been a reading from Pollak's Arm by Hans van Trotha. Thank you very much.